Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be going over how to get your very first win in Warzone. So, we got 15 tips on how to get a win. So, first tip is to land as far away from the plane's path as possible, but make sure it's in or close to the circle. So, this tip I can't emphasize enough. The farther away you land from the plane's path, as you can see there, the better odds you will have of being able to loot up and get some good stuff before you get into a fight. Less people being there. So I can't emphasize that enough. It's mandatory, I guess you could say. If you want to get high kill games, then obviously you would go to a populated area. But if you're just trying to get a win and you don't really care about kills, this is a great tip to do. As you can see here, me and my team are flying as far as we can to this secluded area. We always are checking, one of us is checking to make sure another team ain't going there, and if they do, what building they're going to. So always do that. Tip number 2 is make sure your minimap is square so you can see more of the map. This is also crucial because if you have it circular, you're missing out on more of the map and you won't be able to see where a lot of the people are. It is really mandatory in my opinion because like if someone's shooting and they're in that close of proximity, you'll be able to see them on the minimap and you can pull up your main map and see where they are and ping their location. So that is a must do even if you play passive or aggressive. Number 3 is have Ghost or Cold-Blooded on a primary loadout. So this is for when someone has a UAV or kill streak that you won't be targeted. It helps a lot, especially having Ghost. If someone has a UAV and you're trying to play passive, and this is mandatory. Even if you're playing aggressive, it's kind of mandatory because if you're rushing a team and you got a UAV and they activate a UAV, they won't be able to see where you're coming from, but you'll be able to see where they're coming from. So this is a must-have in my opinion. It is really nice to have. I don't have it in this video because this was a video I took a couple days ago, but I think my teammates had Ghost, so it all worked out. But we're going to move on to tip number 4, which is make sure someone in your party has a heartbeat sensor. Heartbeat sensors are really amazing if no one in your party has a UAV. This really does help, especially towards the end game. It is really awesome to have it. It's overpowered in my opinion in Warzone. So make sure someone or even you has a heartbeat sensor on them at all times, or even in their loadout. Make sure they have it in their loadout. And make sure you use it. Don't ever forget to use your heartbeat sensor. Tip number 5, always stay on the edge of the circle. So as you can see here, we did land in the circle, so we didn't have to really worry about it till later in the game. But as it closed, we had to move to the next circle, and we stayed on the edge of the circle. Tip number 6, hide in bushes if you can't find a house on the edge of the circle to hide in. So you can hide in bushes in this game, unlike Blackout. So that's kind of nice. If you're a bush camper or someone that doesn't have a building to hide in, like I said, this is pretty good cover. I mean, it doesn't keep you protected like a building does, but it does keep you hidden, and the likely chance of someone running into a bush to do the same thing is very small in this game right now, because I don't think a lot of people hide in bushes because of Blackout. So if you can't find a building to hide in, make sure you find a pretty pretty good sized bush, like the one I'm about to hide in
She
here,
literally just
and
like
hide in it.
one up over here.
Tip number 7,
Right,
when the circle
thank you,
gets
I'm moving to the
smaller,
bus.
if it's
Other
not
side.
in your, if you're not in it already,
You're in a bush.
move to the next circle right away.
It just said,
So, like as you can see
In order
here,
for me to blend in with this bush, I
it's
got
about
to
to,
photosynthesis
the
with it.
gas is closing in, so
Photosynthesis.
here any second now,
are you
the
really putting
next circle will
sunburn
get
in your
smaller
Yeah,
and we
right.
won't be in it. So we will immediately move to the next circle and get into the edge of that.
Somehow.
I don't understand.
Tip number 8 is,
But next circle
if there was a
easier.
team by you a few seconds before you
Oh
People
yeah,
right
I
next
thought it
to
was
me.
gonna be
move to the
lumber.
next circle, wait a little bit.
People
As you
right
can
next
see
to me.
here, we
That's
will
what
have
you
a
did.
enemy walk right by
Over
us,
here.
and we will wait just a couple
Nope.
There's no one
seconds,
to your left on the
and then we
railroad.
will move to the
Someone
next
right
circle.
above me.
But when you do move, make sure you
They're just
crouch
running right
walk.
past me. They're up top.
Sound in this game is very key.
Yes, dude. I
If
turned
you're
around and saw
running
them.
to the next
They're
circle
up
and
top,
the enemy
dude.
team
It
is
looked like one guy.
not far ahead of you, they will
Alex, why
hear
are you
you running
moving?
and know that you're there and possibly turn around and start shooting you. So make sure you crouch walk. Crouch walking makes sure that enemies don't hear you as well. It's almost like nil to any sound, so that's good. Or have dead silence, that works too if you can find it.
He went up top.
Tip number 9,
How did you get up there?
in the end game
Right next to me.
circle, or in the end game, whatever you want to prefer it to, don't engage every person or team you see.
If we're gonna make it to the next circle, we might have to
You will
eliminate
see
them.
here later on in the video that we do this, and we don't engage every team that we see or every player that we see, because
Yeah, we might have to
the
eliminate
moment
them.
you
Come on, go
do,
back.
even if you only see one
I have a
and you
battery.
engage them and
No, I don't.
you knock them
Leaving.
and they don't go down right away, they either have self-revive or they have a team, or they have more teammates, and you just gave away your location to
Dude, he
them.
walked right
And
past
if you don't have very much cover, you're kind of screwed. So don't always engage in every team or person you see, because then you always give away your location to not only that team, but you give your location to other teams as well, because when the circle gets smaller, if you don't have a suppressor on your weapon, your little red dot will pop up on the minimap or the big map, and they can see where you are. So just keep that in mind. Tip number 10,
Alert your mom.
if you don't have very many bushes around you and you don't have a building around you, try to find big rocks to use cover
King of comedy.
so enemies can't see you. And also, if an enemy does see you or you do engage, rocks are a great means of cover out in the open, so keep that in mind. Don't forget about that tip. That's a good tip to remember. Like in this one, we had trees and bushes, but as the end game got smaller, we were on the edge of the circle and all we had was rocks, so that was key for us to stay hidden. Tip number 11, always check your surroundings to make sure there isn't a team behind you or next to you. So I don't know how many times that none of me or my teammates checked their surroundings, like behind us, and we started getting lasered from behind, and one of us got knocked and thirsted. Like, that is a big part of the game. You don't know who saw you, and you don't know if they're sneaking up behind you to get easy kills. So always make sure that you're checking your surroundings. And yeah, so tip number 12, have someone pull up their minimap, or you pull up your minimap in endgame when two teams are fighting, to ping their locations for your teammates. So as you can see here, I'm pulling up my minimap and I can see where they are shooting from, the red dots, and I can ping their location. So that way we know that there's someone or even a team over there.
Yeah, I know.
So keep that in mind. It's almost like having a UAV when you get to the end game. It is very helpful. And also, use your heartbeat sensor. If you or your teammate has a heartbeat sensor, say, hey, don't forget to use a heartbeat sensor. That is also key in the end game, so that way you're not pulling up your minimap if a teammate's if like an enemy is like right next to you. I said teammate, my bad. If an enemy is right next to you, it will help out a lot, so that way you're not vulnerable. Like you start getting shot and you're like, oh crap, and you're trying to back out. So make sure that you or your teammate is using the heartbeat sensor, whoever has it, and make sure you check it. That helps too. If a team is not shooting,
They're running up the
also,
high ground.
so as you can see when I pull up my minimap, it is because someone's shooting and they don't have a suppressor on their weapon. And I can see their exact location. Heartbeat sensor, you don't need someone shooting. So if a team is kind of staying back and they're not shooting, you can ping, if they're close enough, you can get them on the heartbeat sensor. And it's also good for when you're moving and checking your surroundings with the heartbeat sensor. We're going back to that whole surroundings thing. Heartbeat sensor is a good way to check your surroundings and make sure like an enemy team isn't behind the same rock you're hiding behind, or behind a tree that you're about to go to. So make sure you do that. Tip number 13 is when it's you and another team left, engage in a fight, make sure to have cover, but by you, and pick them off one at a time. This is crucial if you see if like the last team is kind of spread out a little bit. Try to go for the guys on the end. It's very important you do this, because if you aim for the guy in the middle, then you'll have the two guys on the end. Either if they're close enough in an area, they will see where you're shooting from, and then you'll have two people shooting at you and you'll get knocked that much quicker. So try to go for the end guys. Tip number 14, always to finish down players. They might have the self-revive. This is a big thing. I don't know how many times I've knocked an enemy team and didn't finish them off because I was looking for their teammates, and they got a self-revive and they downed me. So I also saw Dr. Disrespect down a team of 2, and he only finished off one of them, and the other one was doing a self-revive, and he didn't see him do the self-revive, and he got knocked by the person that did the self-revive. So always keep that in mind, that you down every enemy, every enemy you down, you do knock. So that is crucial, and whether it's you or your teammates, who cares if they get the kill for it, even though you downed them, it's still on the road of you getting the win. So tip number 15, this is the final tip. Stay within a reasonable distance of your teammates. So if
why would you do that?
One of them is getting shot at, you can see the bullets of the enemy team where they're coming from, and so that way you can figure out where your next target is. You'll see me do this here. As you can see, we're all kind of staying within a reasonable distance of each other, except for my friend Giant Lambert, but he is trying to get a kill right now. So the moment he shoots, I kind of have to engage when he says it's only us and another team. So as you can see here, I will come out and try to find a guy on the edge, which I do right here behind the tree, and I knock him, and I do finish him off. So that way he doesn't get a self-revive off if he does have one. You never know who has one. And then as you can see there, my teammate does start shooting at another guy. And since I'm in the close proximity, but I'm not too close, I can see where the bullets are coming from, and I can know exactly where he's at. So keep that in mind, and hope you guys do get a win, and hope you guys did enjoy this video. I will hopefully see you guys on the next one. Let me know in the comments down below how many wins you guys got, and if this helped you out any. Have a great day, guys.
Oh my god. Disrespectful. They got 1 health left.
What are you doing, the sands boss?
Your mom.
Oh,
fuck! It's too powerful. It's too powerful of an insult. I shouldn't be using it on feeble minds like you.
Motherfucker.
Too weak.
How old are you again, Crow? 15?
It'll break your bones.
Crow, what are you, 15?
I'm as old as your mother. You know what? I'm your